Welcome to Litbit channel. Today we will see Understanding India 5th unit, Constitution as a living document. In introduction part, the concept of the Constitution as a living document refers to the idea that a constitution, while a foundational legal framework, is not static or fixed. Instead, it is a dynamic document that can be interpreted and adapted over time to reflect societal changes, evolving values, and new circumstances. This concept emphasizes the adaptability of the Constitution to meet the needs of a changing society rather than being bound by its original context or the intentions of its framers. Let's see one by one. Historical context and the origins. The concept of the Constitution as a living document is commonly linked to the US constitutions but applies to constitutions globally. The framers intentionally designed the US constitutions with broad principles, knowing it would need to adapt over time to changing societal needs. This flexibility allows for different interpretations as circumstances evolve. Next one, judicial interpretations. Courts, especially constitutional ones, interpret the Constitution to address a modern day issue. Judges adapted constitutional principles to contemporary society as seen in USA Supreme Court cases that expanded civil rights such as Brown v. Board of Education, which interpreted the Constitution to end racial segregation in schools. Next one, amendments in formal revision. Amendments are another way constitutions evolve. The USA constitutions, for example, has been amendment 27 times with changes like the abolition of slavery and granting women the right to vote, reflecting societal changes. Next one, social and political evaluation. As society change, new issues arise that the original framers may not have concerned. The Constitution as a living document allows for the interpretations of this issue, such as the US Supreme Court decision in Obergefell v. Hodges, which legalized same-sex marriage under the equal protection clauses. Next one, political and cultural shift. Political and cultural changes also affect how constitutions are interpreted. For example, the understandings of privacy right has evolved with technology. The rises of the internet and digital privacy concerns has led to new interpretations of constitutional rights, particularly regarding the Fourth Amendment in the USA. Next one, debates over living documents versus originalism. The living document concept contrasts with originalism, which holds that the Constitution should be interpreted based on the framers' original intent. Like Justice Antonin Scalia argue for the fixed meaning, others like Justice Stephen Breyer advocate for interpretations that adapt to modern needs. Next one, global perspective on living documents. Many countries view their constitutions as living documents. For instance, India's constitution has evolved through judicial interpretations and amendments, addressing issues like affirmative actions and gender equality. South Africa's post-apparent constitutions has designed to be flexible and continues to adapt to societal needs. Next one, advantages of a living constitution. A living constitution is adaptable, ensuring it stay relevant and responds to new challenges. It protects individuals and collective rights, expands freedoms, and allows for democratic flexibility, accommodating social and political changes without constant amendments. Next one, criticism of living document concept. Critics argued that a living constitution can lead to instability, as broad interpretations may stray from original intentions. Some also believe it gives judges too much power to shape the law, potentially undermining democratic process and the separations of power. In conclusion part, the living document concept highlights the Constitution's flexibility to adapt to changing society. Judicial interpretations, amendments, and societal evaluation keep the Constitution relevant. However, the debate between flexibility and original intent remains a central issue in constitutional laws. Let's we recall the chapter. First one, what does the concept of living documents means in relation to a constitution? It means that the constitution is adaptable and can be interpreted over time to reflect societal changes, evolving values, and new circumstances. Next one, what is the US Constitution often associated with the concept of a living document? The framers of the US Constitution designed it with broad principles allowing for flexibility in interpretations and adaptation over time. The next one, how does judicial interpretations contribute to a constitution being seen as a living document? Court interpret constitutional provisions in light of contemporary issue, allowing the documents to modern challenges. Next one, what role did US Supreme Court play in the evaluations of constitutional law according to the concept of living document? The US Supreme Court has made landmark decisions that expanded or refunded constitutional applications such as those concerning civil rights and voting rights. Next one, can you give an examples of how judicial interpretations made the US constitutions adapt to societal changes? In Brown v. Broad of Education, the Supreme Court interpreted in Brown versus Board of Education, the Supreme Court interpretation the equal protections clauses to strike down racial and segregation in schools even through the original constitutions did not explicitly address school desegregation. Next one, how do amendments contribute to the ideas of the constitutions as a living document? Amendments formally altered the constitutions to address evolving societal values and issues. Next one, what is an example of an amendment that reflect significant societal changes in the USA? The 13th Amendment, while abolishing slavery, and the 19th Amendment, which grant women to rights to vote, progress. How does the Constitution provide a framework for addressing new issues not anticipated by the framers? The Constitution's broad principles and flexibility allows for interpretations and adaptations to address unforeseen issues such as technological advancement and new social movements. Next one, can you give an example where a modern issue were addressed through constitutional interpretation? The Supreme Court legalized same-sex marriage nationwide in Abraham versus Hodges under equal protection clauses of the US Constitution. Next one, how has the digital age affected constitutional interpretations in the US? The rise of the internet and digital technology has complicated debates over privacy rights, particularly regarding the Fourth Amendment. What is the debate between living document and originalism in the constitution law? The living documents view advocate for evolving interpretation of the constitution, while originalism emphasizing interpreting the constitution based on its original meanings and the framer's intent. Next one, who is the US Supreme Court Justice associated with the originalism and the living document theory? Justice Anthony of the originalism, so while Justice Stephen Breyer companioned the ideas of the constitutions as a living document. Next one, how is the concept of the living constitution applied globally? Many countries like India and South Africa have constitutions that adapted through judicial interpretations and amendments reflecting societal changes. How has India constitutions evolved through judicial interpretations? India constitutions has interpreted to address issues like affirmative action, gender equality, and regional autonomy. Next one, what is an example of the constitution explicitly designed as a living document? South Africa's post apartheid constitutions which incorporate human rights or inequality was designed as a living document to evolve with the societal needs. Next one, what are the advantages of having a constitution as a living document? A living constitution allows for adaptability, protections of rights in modern context, and documentary flexibility, enabling reforms without constant amendments. Next one, what is the criticism of concept of the living constitution? Critic argues that a living constitution can lead to instability and unpredictability in law, losing its original intent and consistency. How do critics view judicial interpretation in the context of a living constitution? Some critics believe that judicial interpretations may lead to judicial overreach where judges impose their own view, undermining the democratic process. Next one, how does the living document concept ensure the constitution remains relevant? The concept allows the constitutions to be flexible, ensuring it continue to serve as an effective governance tool as society evolves. Debated in constitutional law regarding a law living documents. The debate centers on finding a basic between the constitution flexibility to adapt and the needs to preserve its original intent. Thank you viewers. Thanks for watching this video.